Hi, how's it going everyone? Welcome to the channel. Today, something a bit different. We're going to be talking about the whole Premier League, the division that Nottingham Forest play in. We've come into it, shown ambition, everyone hates it, and it is honestly so funny to see everyone cry about it. I thought, before the window closes, it's just a few days now, let's take a look at every team's squad depth and just particularly pick out one specific area that probably needs to be upgraded. Whether they do that or not is their problem. But this is what I personally think. I've gone through every single club and I've written down their entire squad. So I'd appreciate you very much hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel just for my sanity, to be honest. Arsenal Football Club. Now, straight away, key. The blue text are players that can play multiple positions. Obviously, their name is somewhere else on the graph. Also, ignore the fact that centre-back isn't separated. That's kind of annoying me, but we'll have to just go with it. I think Arsenal have had a fantastic window. They've done some very, very smart business and they've really started to shape the squad. I think players that we didn't think were good enough are improving. So really, and this is really quite picky, if I'm going to pick any area that I think Arsenal should be trying to get another player, maybe a third goalkeeper. Think of how important Aaron Ramsdale is to this team. And they've got Matt Turner in from New England in the MLS. He's still a young goalkeeper, but can he fill the boots of Ramsdale? And what if Turner was to get injured? You need another goalkeeper. Moving on to Aston Villa, I think the situation is rather perilous at the moment at Villa Park for Steven Gerrard's job, as well as the way they're going just in general. Now, I think they've made some decent signings this summer, but it worries me that their star signing, really, in Diego Carlos from Sevilla, came in, did well, immediately gets an Achilles tendon injury, which is probably the worst injury a player can get. It keeps you out for months. I think Villa are in the market to get a centre-back. I've seen a report, don't know how true it is, that they're after Jan Benterek from Southampton, which wouldn't be the most spectacular move, but it certainly will give them a bit of squad depth and they certainly need it. So for me, I think Villa should be looking for another centre-back before the window closes. Bournemouth's really quite easy. It's another left-back. Jordan Zamora is an excellent young player. Bournemouth have been playing three at the back quite a bit, so therefore they're not really left backs, they're more wing backs like Forest play. Adam Smith often does go up on the left hand side, and they do have quite a few right backs. Stacey and Ryan Fredericks, a new signing in the summer, so that isn't a huge issue, and I suppose they could utilise Adam Smith over on the left hand side to allow using the other two, but I just think they haven't got a conventional left back besides Zamora, and I just feel like they ought to get someone else in. Looking actually, if you're going to be a bit more picky, I think Bournemouth do need more attention than Villa and Arsenal. Another centre back won't go amiss, and another striker. Brentford, this was quite difficult to be honest, because I think they've got a really nicely balanced squad, and there isn't any area that screams attention. If Ivan Toney is injured for any stage this season, I think Brentford will really feel the effects of that. And they haven't really got any other out-and-out striker besides him, at the very least, that could cut it to his level. Now, I'm not going to try and pronounce that guy's name, but he certainly isn't on Ivan Toney's level. No disrespect to him. Now, Wizard and Mbomo have played as strikers before, essentially playing as second strikers, not really playing with an out-and-out number 9, but essentially they're playing out of position, and they can't really afford to be doing that. Another striker, at the very least near Ivan Toney's level, would be quite a wise move for Brentford. I was really struggling for Brighton. They have such a nicely balanced squad. I was going to say left back, because they've got a brand new left back in to replace Mark Cucurella, and they do tend to play wing backs. So Trossard, I put him there because he's been playing as the left-sided midfielder. That essentially is, instead of having a left back or wing back. So essentially he is an equivalent to it, if you get what I mean. So I suppose you could say, just for out and out left backs, get another left back. But I'm just looking at the goalkeepers. Robert Sanchez has been a really good find. He's had a really good impact since he's come into the Brighton squad. But Jason Steele has been at the club since 2018. He's been a backup the entire time. He's in his 30s. Obviously, goalkeepers can continue for quite some time. Don't think him or McGill are on the same level. McGill is actually part of the youth setup. Now, Chelsea's obviously more publicised than some teams, so it's kind of obvious where they need to be improving: a striker. It's so blatantly obvious to see. Broja was excellent for Southampton last season on loan, but he's a huge step up to be Chelsea's #1 striker. Start of the season they've been playing Sterling and Havertz pretty much as their strikers, which shows how much faith they got in Broja. Now, I think it was the right decision to move on Werner and Lukaku, but they need to replace them. They haven't done that. Now, obviously, Chelsea have been heavily linked with Aubameyang. Obviously, ex-Arsenal, it would only make sense. This always happens. Aubameyang would be a short-term solution. It would certainly fix their problems, but it wouldn't be long-term, if you get what I mean. So I'm just thinking, in the long run, I don't think that's the best move. Now, Crystal Palace, was 2 areas that stood out to me. Both fullbacks. Left back, they've only got Tyreek Mitchell. Now, Ferguson can play on the left, but they haven't got another out-and-out left back besides who is a fantastic young player in Tyreek Mitchell. Right hand side, 2 pretty solid options in Nathaniel Klein and Joel Ward, both 30 plus, both not going to get any younger or better. And to be quite honest, they probably are some of the most bang average players in this side. So getting in a younger, exciting right back wouldn't be a bad shout at all. There have been rumours that Wan-Bissaka may very well return to the club, and I think that would be a wise move. Joel Ward can play as a centre-back as well, so I'd say bring in a right-back before the window closes for Crystal Palace. Everton, a club in disarray and therefore a club that is not that difficult to pick for, a bit like Chelsea actually, desperately in need of a striker. Now, they are probably going to be signing Neil Maupay. He himself has been inconsistent, just like Everton are on the pitch, so I don't really think he's going to solve their problems that easily, but it would certainly be better than what they've got now. Bodies are what they need. Calvert-Lewin is a fantastic player, but very injury prone, and Rondon, I'm sorry, he's not at the same level as Calvert-Lewin. He's just not going to cut it. Okay, that screen's really bright, but I won't be able to see the squad if I don't have it like that, so just ignore that. A familiar pattern. Chelsea and Everton both needed strikers, and I think it's a very similar situation with Fulham. It really is, though, because look, there's only Alexander Mitrovic. He's quite an important player, isn't he, when it comes to Fulham? Mitrovic is absolute paramount to Fulham. He's everything to them. Without him, they get relegated, in my opinion, without a doubt. Now, Fulham has actually started the season really well. If Fulham don't have another striker besides Mitrovic, they're going to struggle. And just a few days before the window closes, they haven't gone out and made sure that's not a problem. And I just can't believe they've let that go. I mean, like, I actually was going to do a video not long ago about this, the promoted team, so I had a look at the squad in a bit more detail. And the centre-backs were an issue. They have addressed that with Diop and Duffy coming in, but strikers are still an issue. Leeds, I think it's quite clear, to be honest. It has to be left-back. They've been playing Struck as their left-back this season. He's actually a centre-back, so straight away there's an issue there. Firpo's not been in the squad at all this season, not really been what they expected him to be, and the other lad is really part of the youth setup. So I think the left-back is quite clearly the obvious area, and Leeds need to be trying to strengthen. Leicester. Is there any point doing this? Because they're not going to sign anyone. It's quite clear. Brendan Rodgers has made that clear. Is it to do with the wages? Probably yes, because they've got players on high wages that don't want to be here. Wesley Fofana, for instance. He's probably going to leave for Chelsea. They're not going to sign anyone, but for me, the obvious area is goalkeeper. Don't know why they're using Daniel Ward as their first choice. He's not a horrific keeper, but he's been error prone. I think Daniel Iverson would be their best shot right now after a great loan spell at Preston. I genuinely think he should be starting for Leicester 100%. I think he'd be way better than Daniel Ward. And Smithies screams a championship goalkeeper. I mean, he's not going to play, but that's a really unambitious move. Liverpool, having a bad start to the season, yet they've got a really, really good squad. But I'm just looking at that. Maybe they should really be trying to look for the future to build after the likes of Milner, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and I think right now Curtis Jones. So getting in the midfielder wouldn't be a bad thing, but maybe an attacking midfielder. There are few options, but I'm nitpicking, to be honest. Manchester City, it's quite easy to pick. It's got to be left back. They've brought in Gomez from Anderlecht, a decent move. I do need to see more of him. Having sold Zinchenko, this is an obvious transfer that they've done, so they've gone out their way to get a left back in. Now, there is one quite clear thing we need to point out. Cancelo plays on the left a lot, meaning that Kyle Walker can play on the right. So if you're playing Cancelo and then Walker on one side, you still are very, very thin on the ground. You've only got Gomez and you haven't got another right back. I think just a fullback is what Man City need, and then they are really, really covered in that area. Man United, it was all looking very, very doom and gloom until their win against Liverpool, which did kind of show again that they do have the quality within this side. Players like Rashford and Alanga stepping up, actually having good games, players that we thought weren't good enough. And I still have my doubts. It's quite clear to see they still have issues in this team, and I'd probably say they are on the brink of getting this done potentially. Maybe a winger. Anthony could be coming in from Ajax. So, you know, some of these transfers, they are already on it. I would have definitely said midfield if Casemiro hadn't arrived, but to be honest, I'd probably still say midfield, because Fred has his moments, McTominay has his moments, but they're too inconsistent in my opinion. Newcastle, now it's kind of difficult this, because I was going to say striker, but they've literally just gone out and signed Isak, and they could even be getting João Pedro, so they're solving that themselves. So my backup choice is a winger. Saint-Maximin is outstanding. Fraser and Murphy are not on the same level. Almiron, he can play on the wings, but he's also obviously an attacking midfielder. But I probably would say get a winger in, because I looked at the Man City game at the weekend, saw Josh Murphy coming on, thinking, is he really on the same level as Saint-Maximin? I'm not so sure. And after their game against Tranmere, I looked at the comments of their full-time analysis, and there was a few comments just saying, never play Josh Murphy again. And I think that says a lot. Oh look, Nottingham Forest. It only made sense to use this version of a squad depth map, because I show this pretty much every week at the moment. Honestly, I don't really mind if we don't sign anyone else, but I would say right wing back, because I absolutely love Nico Williams. I'm over the moon that he plays for us. But with Niakate's injury, Wall is being questioned. Bianco may very well end up being used as a centre back. Obviously, Kurate can be played there very comfortably, and you know, possibly that might weaken right wing back. So I probably would say get maybe someone in that can play both, but I probably would say get a right wing back, because that way Bianco can be used more of a centre back, and then you've got someone else entirely different to cover the right hand side of the pitch. So I probably would say that. Southampton, it's really quite easy. It has to be left back, because they've only really got, I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, they're French left back, and it is worth pointing out they do tend to play three at the back fairly often. They do switch it up quite a bit, Southampton, which therefore means that wing backs and left midfielders often tend to replace the left back in the team, so it isn't quite as critical as it looks, I suppose. In their last game against Leicester, again they did win, to be fair. Djenepo, a winger, was playing as an out and out left back, according to Transfermarkt. Now that he wasn't even playing as a wing back, he was playing as a left back. That's a winger playing as a defender, essentially. I'd probably say Spurs were the hardest team to pick. I really would, because they are absolutely loaded. I was going to say left back as well, because, you know, Reguilon is going to leave probably. Davis plays as a centre back more than anything. But again, Spurs play three at the back. Perisic and Sessegnon tend to play in that left wing back, left midfield role, which again, more often than not, is replacing the left back in the team. Spurs don't really play with out and out attacking midfielders. I mean, looking at their formations, they've been playing Kulusevski and Son behind Kane, which essentially are attacking midfielders, but they're also wingers, so you can't really classify them as either, to be honest. But when it comes to out and out number 10s, they don't really have anyone in this team, and Kulusevski is the only one that can really play there. I probably would say attacking midfield, but it isn't really needed, because they don't really play with an attacking midfielder, so I don't really know who to pick. I think Spurs have got that good of a team, and the system that they play, they don't really use an out-and-out left-back or a 10, so it's a bit of a difficult one. Two more teams left. West Ham, midfield, 100%. Declan Rice, absolutely brilliant. One of my favourite players that doesn't play for Forest. Soucek, great player as well. Flynn Downs has come in, he can play further up the pitch as well. Then you got Connor Coventry. No disrespect to the lad, but he's not on the same level as Rice, for instance, or Soucek. Now, West Ham, to be fair to them, are on the job here because they've been linked with Lucas Paqueta, which would be a coup, an outstanding signing if they could pull that off. I'm hearing reports according to TalkSport, which I don't know how reliable that is. A 51 million fee would be what West Ham would have to pay. They are in the works to potentially be getting in. Fabrizio Romero is reporting on him. Now, Paqueta's been linked with so many high quality clubs in the past. If West Ham were to pull that off, that would be an absolute coup, and they've had a tough start to the season as well. The final team, Wolves. Straight away I'm looking at the goalkeepers and saying they've only got Sarr and Sarkic. Maybe get a third choice keeper in, but I'd probably say it's difficult because you look at right back as well, they've only got Nelson Semedo there. But I mean, the position I got written down is striker, because Jimenez, Hwang, Catrone, Bonatini, you look at that, there's 4 strikers there. But you've got to look at the personnel. Catrone and Bonatini are not going to get game time. They've been out of favour for a long time. Hwang could be joining Leeds. I didn't even mention that when I spoke about Leeds. He could be on the way out. And Jimenez, since his injury in the COVID lockdown season, he hasn't really been the same player, has he? So I personally think getting someone else up front, at the very least, to challenge Jimenez. And I think that would do Wolves some good. That they have got, obviously, Guedes in, which is an outstanding signing. I actually saw him play for Valencia in a friendly for Forest in pre-season. Wasn't looking out for him, but he's an outstanding player. He probably could act as a striker if need be, but it's not ideal, is it? But I think a striker wouldn't be a bad thing at all if Wolves recruited one. So that's it for this video. I've really enjoyed doing this, something a bit different. I do like to do neutral content because obviously Forest is the main thing I do, but I always love talking about the Premier League and Championship from time to time. If you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to Rads if you're new, it's vastly appreciated. Going for 4,000 subscribers as soon as possible. Can we get it before the World Cup at the very least? That'd be brilliant. Back at the City Ground this week to watch Forest v Spurs. I'm absolutely buzzing for that. Home vlogs, of course, coming throughout the season, and away reactions will be returning when I can actually bring you those. After Man City, actually, I'll be able to do that. So that'll be a lot better than doing reviews. But I'll stop waffling. Thanks for watching. See you very soon, everyone.